Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about a very pervasive topic on the psycho-spiritual journey that is all too intimate to me, which can be critical to understand in depth, especially if we've never heard about what it is or how it operates. And when we see it, it really does change everything if you haven't looked here. So let's put out a hypothetical situation. You've been doing Vipassana meditation for many, many years. Maybe, or some other form of meditation like Ramana Maharishi, Who Am I, self-inquiry. And what happens is you have some moments of openness and clarity, maybe when you're meditating. And then what you do is you get up and, being a householder, a relative person living in the world, you take off your hoodie, like I'm wearing in Australia. It's winter, but you take off your hoodie, or you go out into the world, and you engage in a certain situation. Okay, maybe there's some openness, but then in one specific situation that you get into, maybe a social situation, maybe a situation in the workplace, or maybe you meet up with your family for Christmas. Holy shit, heaven forbid. Meet up with your family for Christmas, and you just get triggered like no one's business. And what happens is a veil goes up over your head when you're in this situation, and your head is basically doing this. Your whole body mind is doing this. You're feeling the discomfort in your body, and it's like, and you're like, it says, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. And then your head's like, what's the solution? What's the solution? I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. What's the solution? What's the solution? And it's just this of your mind. And all of your spiritual practice, all of your training for years, like, goes out the window, right? All of your many, many hours. Yeah, maybe you're relating. I'll just start by saying that it's very common for that to happen. As I relate it to my experience, that's happened so many times, it's not even funny. Been on this path, having been on this path for 5 years, although I guess my whole life has been the path. But then what our mind will do is, after the fact, we'll then have thoughts something along the lines of this. Why am I even on this path in the first place? What am I doing wrong? What am I not seeing? What's wrong with me? How come I keep going back to old patterns? I'm useless. I can't do this. I need to go on another retreat to be able to do this right. I need to get away. I want to be alone. And then we do things like meditate even more. We meditate even harder. Anyway, at this point, if you're still watching and you're relating to any of what I've just said, that's good, because I've got good news for you. You're not crazy. Essentially, mechanistically, it can be helpful to understand what's happening here, to have more compassion for yourself, in my view. First things first, if it's a social situation, what's happening is, with meditation, you're becoming more sensitive to your raw human experience. So as you engage with other humans and go about your relative life, which our culture has set up for us, and it just is the way that it is, you're more sensitive to other people. So you're feeling their repressed emotions, which can be a big revelation, and it was for me when I first heard that. But two, what's also happening is, as you're opening up the vastness of consciousness through meditative inquiry and practice, you're opening up the space for the mind to bring up repressed things like shame, doubt being a big one, like I'm not enough, I can't do it. And these energies become very powerful and poignant, and there's a reason that we've repressed them in the past and pushed them down. So when they come up, it can be so overwhelming that when we feel them, it feels A, like you, and B, like it's the most real thing in the whole world, and oh god, I really am freaking useless. and I can't do this, and I need to go on another retreat, and I need a teacher to save me because I can't do anything myself. Yeah, and look, you can say things like the regurgitated spiritual phrase, which is absolutely true, which it just is this. Like, experience just is as it is. We don't have to react to it. And ultimately, everything is just as it is, just fine, just the way it is. And it is that way. If I drop all mental labels and there's just raw sensations occurring that are self-aware in my hands right now, or there's a beautiful radiance to everything in life, even the most crippling doubt or shame, that's just as it is. However, that's not very helpful when you're in a situation and you're constantly getting triggered, and you're constantly having self-doubt, and you're constantly whipping yourself on the back with the whip of shame, even if you've been meditating for years, which this happens, and you just keep trying harder and harder at trying to de-identify from thought or just be equanimous with what is. So in this instance, I've found it, and what I speak from very direct experience, as I did exactly what I just described. Whether I knew it or not at the time, I just didn't have the language for it. But I would box myself into being this person who's a meditator who couldn't actually engage the story, because the story is something that I'm trying to get out of, the story of Sam. So if I engage the story of Sam, then I'm deluding myself and setting myself up into a false sense of selfhood, which is the very thing we're trying to get rid of. And that's the argument that there's nothing to do. But there's this weird paradoxical dance that occurs where there's a trusting that when you're consistently getting walloped, this veil's coming up, that maybe there is something that I can do here. Maybe there is some inquiry I can do here. Maybe this isn't the way that I need to keep relating in these situations. So the invitation is, when we get triggered, to start doing things like shadow work. Like, let's say you're having a conversation with a colleague at work, and you're talking to them, and for whatever reason you're looking into their eyes, and there's this immense triggering fear that comes up, and you can barely hold eye contact, and you're having thoughts in the background like, oh, I should be able to hold eye contact, I'm a meditator, all the doubts and all that shit. And then you're talking to them, and then you after that situation, you're like, why did I do, like, why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? And yada, yada, yada. But while the shame could be something you could look at, there's also another thing you can look at. Is like, what is that? Like, what is that reactivity that's happening there? What is that? So you're talking to this person and they're triggering the hell out of you, and it's like, okay, I'm actually going to engage the story for a little bit here, because I've been in this situation over and over again. I keep getting triggered. It's actually affecting my ability to perform, my ability to do my job, my ability to engage in a loving, communicative way with another human. It's not like we need to love everyone, but let's say this: let's engage the story. Oh, okay, this person that I'm talking to, they remind me of my old manager who had this energy of anger, right? They just can't, the way that I felt it was they were angry at the world, and I'm talking to them, and when I talk to that person, it feels like I can't handle it and I need to get away. And our body's telling us, I need to get away, I need to get away. And we're like, okay, well, what would getting away get me? Oh, getting away would get me protection from not being so that I'm worthy. Because if I get away from this person who is resembling my manager, who previously told me when I was younger that I was worthless and I wasn't doing it right. And this person is now bringing that energy in, 10, 20 years later. If I get away, I'll feel safe. I'll feel worthy as a human. Right? So this is the sort of shadow work that we can do if we consistently get triggered. And then more importantly, which is the foundation of this video, which is engaging the doubt that you're not a good meditator or something. I can't do it, I'm not a good meditator, I keep getting triggered, I have all this experience and I still keep getting triggered. My teacher's saying that I need to just keep de-identifying from thought, I need to keep letting go, but it's just not doing it for me. And if I'm being honest with myself, I'm suffering a lot. But so we have all these doubts. And then we inquire into the doubt, casting out the net of unconditional love, of can I let everything in my experience with this loving curiosity, so that life becomes this beautiful, curious investigation of like, oh wow, I got triggered in that situation. What was that about? Like, how come that situation triggered me more than when I was talking to my good mate John, who I can keep eye contact with just fine and talk about whatever with? But this person, like, what is it about them that makes me feel like I'm not enough? And then going into the beliefs. And then the doubts about not being a good meditator. Why do I believe I'm not a good meditator? Oh, because I reacted when I shouldn't have reacted. Why can I not react? Oh, because if I react, I'm a bad meditator, and that means I'm an unworthy human who needs saving. Oh, where did I learn that? Oh, maybe from my parents, who gave me everything I wanted on a silver pallet, and I need to feel like someone who needs saving. I'm just using an example, but we go down the shadow work rabbit hole, and we get to the root and see the fixation of what's actually causing the friction of the mind, and see clearly for what it is with truthful, radical authenticity, which is what I think we should all be interested in if we've made it this far in the video or on the spiritual path. And relinquish that doubt. And then that opens up more compassion. That is all encompassing and also enables more insight to be bred, because we're not in the friction of the mind. It's more like it's porous, and then we might get contracted back occasionally, but it's more porous and open. So that's my invitation, is to engage the story, inquire, and trust your intuition to know when that moment is right. I hope this video has given you the force, you've unlocked the force, and I'm going to wrap myself up in the Australian hoodie and snuggle up for the winter. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, or any other suggestions for videos. I'm definitely open, and make sure to leave a like, as it helps the algorithm. People similar to you find the video that way, and it helps me as well. So thank you. Much love to you.